Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guests are a group of ladies who originally came together to help one another through the pandemic. Fast forward today, the Ladies First Chit-Chat Crew is a weekly show that offers sisterhood to women all over the world each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please help me welcome the ladies of First Chit-Chat Crew. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
I know we're waiting on one more, but I'm gonna let you all ladies introduce yourselves. I'll start with you, Nikki Kimbrough, who I think you started all this, right?
I did. Hey everyone. I am Nikki Kimbrough. I'm also known as Get Fit with Nick. I'm a fitness expert, entrepreneur, Broadway performer, and also the executive director and owner of the Harlem All Stars Theater Group, which is very dear to my heart. And I created the Ladies First Chit-Chat Crew one Saturday, right after the pandemic, like right when we went on shutdown in New York City.
Yeah.
And I said, I thought about my fabulous sisters, and I really started it with it just being one day.
Yeah.
And it turned into something what it is now. I know we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it. All right, Crystal.
Hey now, can I kick it? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Hello, I'm Crystal James Goodwin. I am a friend of a lovely, favored friend of Nikki Kimbrough. We're all favorite friends of hers. And I am a media executive. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I teach line dance classes. I braid hair. You know how we do everything.
Right.
And Nikki and I were on, well, we'll talk more about that, but we were on the phone during the pandemic. I was sitting in CVS parking lot, and she told me about this idea. And she's like, what can we talk about? I said, well, we're having a meantime moment. We could talk about what do we do in the meantime? Because we didn't know we were going to be in this pandemic for 2 years. So, it's just an honor and a privilege to be able to just be ourselves every week. Exactly. And in doing so, hopefully, prayerfully, we, help some other folks, some other ladies get from point A to point, A to wherever
they need to go.
Wherever they need to go.
Chandra, what about you?
Excuse my fidgeting. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Excuse my fidgeting. I'm trying to get this mic situation together, but I am Chandra Prophet Ardre. I am a mother, entrepreneur, artistpreneur. I'm a Broadway star, honey. Okay. And I have a few businesses that I run here in the city, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm unapologetically Black in everything that I do, unapologetically great in everything that I do. So hey, I'm here.
I heard that.
Johnny, I was waiting for a praise the Lord saying.
I know. I got flustered because I was like fidgeting, getting my mics together because my child is here and loud, and I don't want y'all to hear in the background. But praise the Lord, everybody. We here.
Praise the Lord. And Nikki Unbossed. Tell us about you.
So I'm Nikki Unbossed. And I work in technology. I have my own business, High Hill Media, where I do brand strategy and marketing and PR management. I've known Nikki for quite some time, so you'll probably hear our story as we start to, get into the conversation. I was an addition to the group.
Okay.
That's how I look at it, but hopefully the right piece in terms of how we all, just finalize to come together. I think the beauty of what we're doing here, I know for me, gave me opportunity to connect with women that I would have never known were on similar journeys.
Yeah.
Right. And the opportunity for us to basically do it together. Absolutely. And to do it out loud. Absolutely. And I think what we've created here, and you'll hear us talk more about, was the invitation for other women to do the same with us.
Well, Nick, well, one thing before we get into it, what I love that each lady, each of you, I'm not just a teacher. I'm not saying the profession. I'm saying I have multiple layers and multiple hats that I wear. I love that. I love that. I saw a quote today that someone put on Facebook. I'm convinced Black women can do anything.
Say it again.
Say it again.
Me
Say
too.
it again.
Me too.
Well, Nikki,
Definitely.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Nikki Kimbrough. Let's start with you. So the pandemic hit us. And like you said, we thought we were going to shut down for a week, 2 weeks. And I know most of you, if not all, are in the tri-state area. And that was where the epicenter of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Nikki, how did this idea come to you? And what was the initial idea?
The initial idea, I started off like, I need to do something.
Mhm.
I was in a space in my life where I realized I wasn't putting myself first. I was doing everything for everybody
A
else.
lot of women do.
Yeah, and I was feeling very depleted. And I'd had a podcast called Wonder Women Need Love Too. I'd started this, and my first guest was my sister Crystal, and we were talking about some things. And then when the pandemic happened, it was kind of like, okay, so what we're gonna do? And I was hearing all these people talking, and I called up Crystal and Lachelle, who you'll meet Lachelle soon,
Yeah.
and who have been like big sisters, mentors of mine since I was in my late 20s, early 30s. Now I'm in my 40s.
Okay.
And they were just there, and I called them. I said, what do you think about this idea? And they were like, let's do it. So we did it. And ironically, I was talking to Nikki Kearney, like, so what do you think about this idea? Or Nikki, our boss, what do you think about this idea? And then Shani was my client at the time. And I was like, Shani, she goes, I think it's great. I'm gonna be on. And so when we had our first week, I really thought it was gonna be something that was just gonna be for a weekend.
Initially, it was for just a week, right? It was just a week.
It's supposed to be for that Saturday.
Yeah.
And we talked about what are we doing in the meantime. And we got such a great response. And Lachelle and Crystal said, oh, we got to keep going. So we kept going. And I'm gonna keep it 100. At first I was like, oh, we gotta have a white girl. We gotta have a other. We gotta have this. And I brought some people in, and they're amazing. But something just wasn't fitting. And then one day I was like, I don't know what happened. Somebody couldn't do it. I said, Nikki, why don't you come on? And Nikki comes on. I was like, okay, this is looking good. And one day, you know, Shani's the youngest of the group, but sometimes I feel like she older than me. We'd be on the treadmill, and she and I talking, and I swear she had given me some type of sermon that day, probably about being unapologetically great and at everything I do.
Yeah.
And I was like, Shani, you need to come on the show. And I remember looking at Lachelle, Crystal, let me do it. Lachelle, Chandra, Crystal, and Nikki. I remember looking at all of them, and I said, this is it. And I just got a chill just now, like I'm about to cry.
Yeah.
This is the vision is clear. The vision is clear, and we have been rocking. And we say we're the Ladies First Chit-Chat Crew, where we honor the voice of the everyday woman. And we have been rocking. Our viewers are with us, and we learn from each other. I really believe this is a gift from God that we have been able to give to ourselves. And by giving to ourselves, we're also giving to our community. And it's been amazing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. And I'm telling you, I have the dopest sisters. In the world. And I'm extremely blessed. And I really see us going very far and moving and inspiring so many people. So,
right. Absolutely. Well, Crystal, I know that, you know, that time, because the first show was March 28th of 2020. But prior to that, you know, a lot of us were in the house. If you're able to get to work, you know, or even stuck in the house trying to teach homeschool to your kids, you know, virtual online teaching and everything, which I know in itself was crazy. When Nikki came to you with this idea and you all started it, was it kind of like a release? Was it an outlet that we were missing because we had to be in the house?
I really would love to give you a grown-up answer, But Nikki can ask me to do anything, and I do whatever like. She and my other girlfriend Julie, like they make me whatever they want to do. I'm like, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
Because she's amazing. You know what I mean?
You trust her.
So it was I trust her with everything. And then she'll call me, she's like, what do you think? And then I trust her enough to actually tell her what I think. Do you know what I mean? So it was an easy yes. Because it was us being of service, which is what I think authentically we do anyway. It was an opportunity to, be very we have real conversations with each other, right? So we all knew Nikki. We didn't really know each other.
Okay.
So, and I'm like, if I have and I haven't really met, a person that I feel like I don't know already, I'll be like, hey girl, so they call me everybody's best friend. I don't know why they call me that. Anyway, but I just felt like if we were conversing about something that is very unifying. I mean, this was the first time probably in our lifetime that everybody was in the exact same position. Right. Irrespective of, race, gender, everything. Right. And I felt like our conversation could be very, very heartfelt, and it could be sincere. And I have learned, and we'll talk a little bit about this. I don't know if the women in your family or the women in your life, I can't meet a woman and know something that I know that I've been through, that I've journeyed through, and not tell her. Yeah. That's my job. That's my sister. Right. So that's how I feel about women. I know there's women that are like, oh, you can't, but that's not what you get in here. Yeah. Right. Because that's not what I give off. Right. Women that don't like the kind of woman I am are not my friends. So I don't have women like that in my circle. You feel me? So to be part of a conversation on this Saturday with my sister, that each of us are connected to her, it didn't matter that I didn't know them. Yeah. I was like, hey girl, what's up? Girl, I love that look. I love that lip because I love that lip, not because I need to be nice. Right. Like I show up, I always say this, I show up as Crystal everywhere I go. Because if I didn't get there, I ain't there yet. And when I show up as Crystal, I probably love you walking in the door unless you do something. Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. So we had a wonderful, wonderful conversation that ended up making me feel like I want to have this again. And the more people that connect with us each and every week, and we get it now, people say, you're talking to me, or that happened to me, or thank you so much, or whatever, because a lot of times women, particularly because we're doing so many things, don't feel safe enough to say that hurt my feelings, or I'm scared, or I really want to go for that job and I'm afraid, or whatever. And those are the things that we talk about, the things that make us unified in the human and female experience. Absolutely. And Chandra, to piggyback off Crystal, I can imagine these conversations to be very vulnerable. To have these conversations, to open up. Was that easy initially with people that you didn't know, or was it just that environment that you felt safe doing so despite whom it was there?
Oh, well, that for me, I'm an open book. So I can talk to anybody about any and everything. And people look at me kind of sideways like, you just said that to me. But these are conversations that are very, very sacred to people, especially to Black women. And I don't say sacred in a too positive way, like sacred, like we don't talk about things, and so we kind of push them under the rug, or say we'll talk about it later, or that stays in the house, we don't talk about that with other people, like that type of thing. And so these conversations have been eye-opening for people who normally don't have the space, the space, the ability, the safe zone to have these conversations. So even though I am an open book, there is still conversations
Yeah.
that I've never had with groups of women because we just don't talk about any and everything. It's always some type of block when you come to, speaking of personal things, personal experiences, getting off of the ground, falling and getting back up again, like especially in Black women we don't try to talk about what happens on the bad side. We
Right.
just try to keep saying like, push forward, you got it, da 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 da, like stuff like that. But yeah, I think that we as a collective have created such a safe space for people to be able to have these conversations because we're having this conversation. And then they go into their friend groups and they're like, well, I just heard 6 strong, powerful Black women have this conversation. So I feel like we can have this conversation too,
Absolutely.
So that's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah. And Nikki and Boss, you mentioned that you joined, you were addition to the group. Were you surprised at some of the topics that were discussed and people being so open, or what was your initial reaction once you joined and started having these conversations with the other ladies?
Well, I mean, in many ways, I was a part of it. I mean, at the end of the day, I have been talking to Nikki before it started, while it started, giving my feedback, giving my suggestions. So actually, when she asked me to come on, I was like, oh no.
Right.
I was like, oh no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was the best thing that ever happened because, honestly, we're sharing stories very naturally. Things that we're going through, because every week we meet one day a week, Thursday in the morning. We talk about the things that have happened to us. Topics usually come out of that conversation, and that becomes our ability on Saturday to share with people what we've gone through and how we've handled it. We'll come to a certain topic many times, and it's like, yeah, I've experienced this, and this is how I've dealt with it. But since then, and we do that. But we're now morphing into a place where we're becoming very intentional.
Right.
I mean, one of the things that attracts me to what we're doing is, I'm a person that in my career, I've recreated who I wanted to be every single time so that I could make more money, moving into a different position, get myself where I needed to be.
Kind of like the code switching kind of thing, would you say?
Huh?
Like code switching, kind of like.
Well, yeah, just creating who if I need to make more money, I look to see, what industry and where could I pivot myself and how did I have to position myself? So coaching myself and becoming who I needed to be.
Yeah.
Also deciding where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Right. And what was the plan for me in terms of where did I envision myself and how was I going to get there? And so I would constantly recreate myself. But what really drew me, or what draws me when I really think about why I love what we do, is because I'm a real proponent on owning your voice and managing your own outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like nobody's going to do that for you. And I think we have done it over the last couple of years, just sharing naturally. Right. And we're still doing that. And it comes straight from the heart. It's not scripted. You're hearing us talk straight off the cuff of how we think. But now it's becoming even more intentional.
Right.
In terms of how we're thinking about the shows, the topics. So yeah, no, I wasn't surprised. It didn't bother me. The fact that people were speaking so honestly and open. And honestly, I think we began to be even more open the more we did it. And I don't even know if any of us noticed it. And like Chandra, I'm an open book too. I'm not going to reveal anybody else's business, so I'll respect that. But the part that involves me, like, you can ask me anything. I'll tell you exactly how I dealt with it.
Yeah.
I just won't speak on somebody else.
And Nikki, some of the topics that some of your viewers have brought up, discovering their passion and purpose, executing their visions and dreams, saying yes to the things that align with their purpose, being unapologetically me, putting themselves first in the midst of it all, and speaking with what they want and desire. And we saw that during the pandemic, millions of people left jobs or switched job industries, and they and decided they wanted to work from home moving forward, or they wanted to do something different, just because they got to sit and be with themselves, be with their families, be with the people closest to them. And so when you look at some of the topics that are discussed and some of these things that have been highlighted, do you think that falls in line with why Americans all over the country have made those kind of shifts in their lives? You're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think it all started. I can't wait till you meet Lachelle. Lachelle, we call Lachelle the truth and the light. She's our life coach, like our doctor of the show.
Yeah.
And she really brought to us her one of her passions, her purpose. She supports people in getting out of their way and getting clarity in their life. And she's also the vision board speaker, the vision board master. So when she first brought that to the group, and you realize how many of us needed clarity, and not only our viewers, and then you start talking about on the outside and looking at so many people need this. You also realize that there were a lot of people that weren't being in alignment with their gifts. Crystal started introducing us to the Zone of Genius, and it's a book that she has us all reading, and we all started realizing, am I really in my zone of genius? Mm-hmm. What is my purpose? What is this? And then you realize not only are we feeling like this, the viewers feeling like this, and then the girl up the street feeling like this. Right. So, definitely one thing I do want to say, I just want to add, we learn from one another. And I can definitely say my sister Chandra, and I don't know if I think I may have thanked you for this, but I've never thanked you for this. And Stephen, you can understand this. I grew up in the suburbs, started off in the city, and then my mom was like, wait a minute, she might be getting a little rowdy. It was in the fifth grade, got a little fight. Suburb, we moved to Chesterfield County, and I went to a predominantly white school. And when I was growing up, we all got along. The Black people got along, whatever. And one of the things I loved about going to UVA, there was a strong Black community. However, you know how it is, Stephen. Yeah. Yeah, that's Nikki. Oh my God, your white friends like, that's Nikki. She good. She's that. It wasn't until, of course, when the pandemic happened and everything happened with George Floyd. Yeah. I took a pause and was like, wait a minute. And then listening to my sister Chandra talk and be very bold about, I'm unapologetically Black, and if you don't like it, bye. She gave me the liberty to pause and say, that's right, I am unapologetically Black. And if you don't like it, you don't have to be with me. You don't have to be with my business. You don't have to be with anything. And she really ushered that into us. But as a result of it, Stephen, our white women, our other women of color, they loved it, and they came in and they started asking questions, and we started being very open about it. So I do want to say publicly, Chandra Prophet Audrey, thank you for bringing that to the light and bringing it to the light for me and supporting me and feeling good and being unapologetically Black and being unapologetically great at everything I do. I thank you for that. So I just want to add that not only it's just we learn from one another, and because we're given to one another, we're able to give to others and be authentic about it as well.
Absolutely. And I can relate to that because being from where I'm from, and although we talked prior to we started filming that, but my friends, the majority of them were Black growing up, but we were all the same type of Black people. And so you see things and you be like, oh, they're ghetto, or why they so loud, or why they, there are some things that just too much. But you know what I'm saying? And then realize, I remember even watching a movie once, I was watching Candyman, the new one, and everything is Black. Is this too much for our culture? I'm like, no, why shouldn't it be? No. Why shouldn't it be? So I get what you mean about having those people like Chandra who are unapologetically Black. You know what I mean? It's nothing knock against any kind of culture, but it's also is appreciating and understand that we belong in the conversation. We belong.
It's also one of those things that we are one of the, I'm trying to make sure I mean, I don't know if this is factual and actual, but you know, we're one of the only cultures I believe that aren't unapologetically their culture.
Yeah.
You know, like most other cultures are so like, I'm blah blah blah, and I'm staying tall, and I am this and that, proud.
Yes.
And so it's just one of those things that like it that having that stance of just walking in your truth, which is what you wake up as every single day, helps filter you into everything else that you do. You know, it helps you be unapologetic in everything else that you do, because if you're
with your head a little higher,
because if you're apologizing for what you wake up as, what else are you apologizing for?
Exactly. Well, listen, we have Lachelle. She has joined us. Lachelle's part of this wonderful group of ladies. Lachelle, can you please introduce yourself and when this opportunity was presented to you and you joined, your initial thoughts? So first, let's start with your introduction of who you are.
Hello, I'm Lachelle Wooten, and I am a proud member of the Ladies First Chit-Chat Crew. I'm known as the truth and the light in this.
They said that.
And when Nikki actually came to me in 2020 at the very beginning of the pandemic and said, I need this, and will you do it? Of course. I said yes, right? Because it felt like something that would feel good to me, but it also felt good to have an opportunity in a moment like that to be able to be in a space where women are supporting each other. Because there was a lot to tend to in those moments for women in the world, and certainly Black women. And so it was great that Nikki came up with this idea about taking care of herself and her friends, and that she invited me to join. So I'm happy to be a part of this.
Absolutely.
Stephen, can I just add something to the ladies real quick?
Absolutely.
Remember when we started off, I said the vision is clear. When Shelly popped up, the vision is clear, ladies. You know what I mean.
The vision is very clear. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The vision is clear.
I love it. Well, listen, we got to meet all of the ladies tonight. Next week, we'll learn more about what they talk about and how you can be part of it. For more information, go to our website at StephenKnightShow.com. We'll be right back after this.